All right, this is our lesson 2.8. It's called Multiplying in Different Forms, and we are in your notes packet on page number 18. So we're going to go ahead and get started here today. On page 18, multiplying in different forms, we're going to take your knowledge of fractions, decimals, and percents, and we're going to kind of put them all together here, and we're going to be multiplying some different quantities here. Strategy for you. When we talk about these problems, what you are going to be doing is you're going to see a lot of really common fractions, decimals, and percents. So our recommendation here, strategy-wise, the easiest way to handle these is going to be to change them all into fractions, more or less improper fractions if you need to, and reduce before you're trying to multiply. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you example number 1 and 2, and then 3, and then I'm going to actually have you practice with number 4. So I'm going to give you 3 examples here. So looking at these, all want to be fractions. This is fine. 25%, I'm going to reduce to 25 over 100. Remember, drop the percent sign, put it over 100. And for this one, I have 44 hundredths, so I'm going to write it as 44 hundredths. These are not reduced. So what I want to do is go ahead and actually I can reduce them before I multiply, or I can just put them in. So this example, I'm going to leave them as big as they are and not reduce them, and just try and do some reducing before I multiply. And then when I get to example number 2, I'll actually reduce my fractions before I try to multiply anything here. So looking at across, I see 25 and 100, so I'm going to actually reduce these to 1/4. 4 and 44 can go together. I'll switch colors here. 4 goes into it once, 4 goes into it 11 times. And then looking at kind of going across 5 to this 100 that's here, 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 120 times. Not seeing anything else that I can reduce here up and down or diagonally. So 1 times 1 is 1, times 11 is 11. And 6 times 1 times 20 is going to give me 120. So that is already reduced then as far as it can go, because 11 is a prime number. For number 2, 1/2 is going to stay there. 40%, we're going to drop the percent sign, put it over 100. And this you would read as 8/10. So we're going to put 8/10. And then I'm going to actually reduce this time instead. So if I have 40 over 100, I can make that 4 over 10, but I could actually reduce that down to 2/5. And then 8 over 10, I can make 4/5 by reducing. Then go in and actually see if there's anything that you can reduce up and down diagonally. 2's, both divide by 2. And then it looks like 4, 5, 1, nothing else I can do there. So 1 times 1 is 1, times 4 is 4. And on the bottom, 1 times 5 is going to give me 25. So that's my final answer there. I could also write this then as a decimal if I wanted to. I could also write it as a percent if I really wanted to. But we're good to leave it in fraction form here. For number 3, let's go ahead and look at this one. So we have 5, 6, that's a fraction. 36% would be 36 over 100, and 45 hundredths. So then I'm going to actually reduce these before I try to multiply. So I have 5, 6, 36 100ths. I'm going to divide them both by 4, which will give me 9 over 25. And then 45 over 100, if I just even divide by 5, that'll help me out. So that'll get me 9 over 20 then. And then I want to go ahead and actually reduce here. So I'm going to reduce the 5 and the 25 because they're both divisible by 5. And then the 9 and the 6 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to reduce that, and that'll give me a 2. And it looks like that's about as good as I'm going to get here. So 1 times 3 times 9 is 27. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 20 is going to be 200. And there's my final answer there. I'm going to ask you to go ahead, give number 4 a try. I would recommend writing out your fractions like big time first, and then reduce them before you try and multiply. So for this one, 1 2/3, you did actually have to change over to an improper fraction first. 75%, big time, I would say 75 over 100, and then 3/10. And then you want to go ahead and set these up. And if I divide by 25 here, I get 3/4, and then 3/10 is just going to stay. So I can reduce my 3's. And that looks to be, the 5 and the 10. There we go. 5 is going to be 1. 10 will go in twice. 1 times 1 times 3. 1 times 4 times 2. and 3/8 is my final answer then on number 4. For number 5, we have 5/16, 4/10, and 64 over 100. So I'm going to leave 5/16. 4/10 I'll reduce to 2/5. And 64 over 100, I could divide by 4, it looks like. I'm just going to actually divide by 2 because that'll get me a good start because I'm not easily seeing the numbers here. And that's fine if you do it that way too. However, reduce 2, this goes in once, this goes in 8 times, 5s are going to cancel. And then 32 over 50, it looks like I can reduce by 2 one more time. That's going to give me 16. That'll give me 25. And now that I did that, actually, that helped. The 16 and the 8 can reduce. So the 8 goes in once, 16 goes in twice. 1 times 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 times 25 is 25 then. I'm going to go ahead and have you take a look at number 6 and give this one a try. So my first fraction, I did 30 over 100, which reduced to 3/10. 15 over 100, which I reduced to 3/20. And then 1 and 1/9, 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10/9. So I saw my 10s first. I'm going to reduce them because they're gone. 3 will go in once. It'll go in here 3 times. 3 will go in once. Will go in once. And 1 times 1 times 1. That's a nice thing. 1 times 20 times 1 is 20 then. So we get 1/20. And go ahead and take a look at number 7. So we have 2/3. This is going to be 5/100, which will be 1/20 reduced. And 60%, drop the percent sign, put it over 100. So 6 over 10, because I can cancel out those zeros. And reducing that, I get 3/5. And I saw those 3s immediately, so I'm going to cancel them. And I can cancel the 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 20 10 times. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 10 times 5 is 50. So we get 1/50 there. Over here, number 8, I'm going to have you go ahead and give this one a try. So coming back, this is 4 and 8/10, which would be 48/10. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce that to 24/5. 8% would be 8 over 100. Divide by 4 on each of those. That's going to give me 2/25. And then I'm going to have 5/6 over here. So I want to go ahead and start reducing. I see those 5s. Those are the nicest, easiest ones to do. I see 6, which will go into this once. It'll go in here 4 times. Don't see anything else. So 4 times 2 times 1 is 8. 1 times 25 times 1 is 25. And that takes us to the end of the lesson for this one. So it's multiplying quantities in different forms, and that was page 18.